What is going on, boys and girls? It's me, Ben DPB, and we're back with another Ben Meets. And this one, I've got another Ben on Ben Meets. And Ben Meets an association with passion for FM, for all your FM needs, whether it be whatever FM stuff you want. You guys know I'm not a professional when it comes to this sort of stuff, but your blogs, you guys, a couple of really good trading schedules on there. The Reckonist has done some cheeky little trading schedules that I've been borrowing. They've worked really, really well. So any FM stuff that you want, go in there. A couple of really good guys on there. We head over to Passion for FM. We've got the one and only, the legend that is Dr. Benji. How are you, sir? This one I'm really looking forward to. I mean, I've got a lot of questions for you. Some good, some not so good. I've got a lot of questions this year about your FM20 save with your journeyman save or shall we call it. Some controversial questions regarding your illegitimate child, but we'll get into that at some point, I'm sure.
Okay.
But before we get going, I mean, let's be honest, they're going to know who you are anyway, but if you don't know who Dr. Benji is, do you want to give yourself a shout out of what you do, where we can find you?
This is the only reason I come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been doing Football Manager now content for going on 6 years. This is my 6th year doing it, I think. Yeah, started in 2014, started off streaming, became a YouTuber, and I've now got a channel of decent size after growing it for however many years. And it's been going well. You can find me on all available platforms pretty much. I even use Instagram, despite the fact that my pictures generally are just things I see, which is, I don't know if you're supposed to use it. Do you use Instagram? Are you supposed to do pictures of yourself, or are you supposed to do pictures of other things? I just do other things.
I have an account, but I don't use it.
Oh well, I think it's time to. I think it's time to branch out. I think the viewers want it. They want your Instagram. I'll be honest. When you said, "Do you want to tell them about yourself?" I didn't think I'd be plugging my Instagram this much. But
what can I say? What can I say?
Do streaming, do YouTube, do Twitter-based opinions, and although not as many as I used to. I used to do a lot more Twitter-based opinions, but yeah,
we'll probably get into that.
Good.
I mean, one of the things I want to talk about before we start is Twitch. I mean, you streamed tonight, and I was in the stream lurking, as I tend to a lot of times. And what happened with all those subscriptions? I mean, how much subscriptions did you get tonight in the end?
It was about 170.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was my biggest. It was, in terms of that sort of thing, it was definitely my biggest stream ever by a distance. It started off quite tame, as it does, and then all of a sudden, it just exploded, and you just sort of have to ride the wave of it happening. Trying to move forward in your save while at the same time thanking someone every every 30 seconds to try and say something. But no, yeah, it was incredible. I had 2,000 people chatting, like unique chatters. So yeah, it was
mad. I mean, I watch Twitch every night with FM streamers, and that was one of the weirdest streams in regards to just subscriber after subscriber. I've never seen it before. It was madness, but it was good.
Yeah, I felt like Ninja. It was great.
Some might say you're bigger than Ninja because he's
on Twitch. I am now because he moved.
Exactly.
Officially bigger than Ninja on Twitch. How many views has he got this month on Twitch? Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Ninja who? Now on YouTube, obviously, where you're not doing too bad on YouTube with 70,000 subscribers, I believe. You're not doing too bad, but talk about last year. I mean, last year your saves were a little bit different to what we tend to see. Normally, you do the long-term saves, shall we say, your Salfords. Now on YouTube, obviously, where you're not doing too bad on YouTube with 70,000 subscribers, I believe. You're not doing too bad, but talk about last year. I mean, last year your saves were a little bit different to what we tend to see. Normally, you do the long-term saves, shall we say, your Salfords, your Thames FC, your Spouse, etc., your Parma Dramas. But last year you sort of went a different avenue and did a variety of different small saves. Was there a particular reason for that at all?
Well, yeah, I break one save up into 3, which I've never done, and I've done it in streams sometimes because that just happens on streams where you go on terrible runs and you just find yourself going to a worse club each time. Whereas with this, I actually built up from Boston through to Villa to Arsenal, but you're right, I did AFC Wimbledon for a bit. I had a save with Central Park Rangers that just disappeared when I lost everything on my computer. So yeah, that was the catalyst really. I had a rough start to the year where I did because the game came out and they'd got the German licenses. We went to the event and they said, we'd love it if you could do some content with Germany. You've got the licenses, we'd love to showcase it. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, I don't dislike the Bundesliga. I also know there's not a massive interest in the Bundesliga, so I'll do Dortmund. And then immediately, a few episodes into that, I was like, yeah, this isn't I shouldn't have nearly done this because I feel like I've always had a false start because then I did Liverpool at the same time. So I've got 2 very similar saves going on at once. So that wasn't ideal. And then, moved into a save in America with a custom database that then I lost after 20 episodes, and you can't really restart that. Cloud save, everyone. It's the lesson I would say to everyone. Just cloud save from now on. It's worth it. But yeah, it was a weird year. It didn't flow. It was just me doing things to try and get something to stick and to enjoy. And it's not like I didn't enjoy doing Boston and doing Villa and doing Arsenal. Each of those saves had like its own thing that made it fun and made it unique. But at the same time, you're right, it wasn't that one team journey that I'm doing now with my stream. And then with Glory Hunter, it's slightly different because I feel like the world is the save. What's happening within that world is very much all-encompassing with those top 5 leagues. So there's still a link there. But yeah, we definitely lost that last year, which was a shame. It was a year that I, for loads of reasons, wasn't great. And YouTube was just a part of that, really.
Your save this year, your Glory Hunter save, is probably one of the most enjoyable saves I've seen yours in a long, long while. It's like watching the days of... I mean, the Salford save is my favourite YouTube save. I've said it. I know me and you've never been the best of friends, for me being a bit of back in the past. But I've always said openly, your Salford save...
I mean, I wasn't the greatest person to be on Twitter with a few years ago.
But your Salford save, I've always said, is one of my favourite YouTube saves I've ever watched. I know everyone loves your Palmer drama save, but your Salford save, I just loved it. I really did.
Yeah.
And it seems like your Glory Hunter series is just as good as that was then. It seems like you really enjoyed it this year. What's your thoughts on the Glory Hunter save, Inter Milan aside?
I think it's really obvious, I think, when a YouTuber isn't really into a save. Like, people would say last year during my saves, they'd say, like, you're clearly not enjoying this. And that would annoy me because I'm thinking, I am enjoying it. I'm just not enjoying it quite as much as I have with, say, if you mentioned with Thames, with Salford, with Palmer, right? It wasn't quite on those levels, even things like Road Trip that I did. And this year just feels like I've got my groove back. It was just sort of a decision I made in the week going towards capture event that we went to. I thought, do you know what? Like, I was looking at all my analytics and I was just looking through. I was thinking, right, next year we're gonna go hard. So I did the Spurs save alongside Glory Hunter for a few months, and they coexisted, which was really good. And I just thought, the one thing I didn't do last year that I'd always prided myself on in previous years, like I've mentioned it to people. My thing was always, people can have their own style, but I'm gonna work the hardest. And I felt like in 2019 I wasn't the person working the hardest. There was definitely people working harder than me, deservedly so, right? And it's their prerogative to pick up the mantle if I'm going to let it drop a little bit. But this year, 2020, FM 2020, I've already said to myself, no one will work as hard as I will to make what they do on a daily basis a success. And it's all relative, right? They might work as hard as me, but but I have to justify it to myself almost to be like, I'm going to be the hardest working person. I owe it to me to do that. I've built up a channel over 4 years. If I'm just going to let it slip away like I see so many channels do, you got to be kidding me. Like, I'm not going to let that happen. Yeah, there was a new fire, and I think that comes through in the actual save, right? I think people see that as they watch it. As you say, it relates to Salford and to Palmer and whatever else. But yeah, I had to find my groove again, and I think I picked the right... I had the idea for about 2 months previous, and I figured it out, but I didn't quite have all the details. But I thought, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around Europe, I'm going to win everything. And then I've come up with a system, and then the time limit, I think, was the biggest thing. Like saying, right, I've got 20 years to do this, because then there's this pressure to get everything done in that amount of time. So the further we go along with it, and I won't have won things, like I won't have won a German Cup here or there, or I won't have won Serie A, and I have to go back to Juventus for a year or something in like year 19 under pressure. I think that makes it really interesting.
I love the fact that you're in the Champions League, you're back to the Bundesliga, hopefully, but you're already trying to find a team that's in the Europa League, so you can go win the Europa League. Or hopefully PSG get Europa League, or hopefully Bayern Munich get the Europa League. It's just quite funny. Most people want to go to bigger and better things. You're looking to promote yourself essentially.
Yeah. I'm desperate at this point to find a save or a team that have got the best chances of winning the Europa League. So I have to go about it 2 ways. I have to pick a team not good enough to be fair, in Dortmund. I think the episode's come out. So I've dropped into the Europa League with Dortmund. So we're ready. We're on track. But then I go into it and I notice Man United are there and Juventus are there, and I'm thinking, flip it. This is not what I wanted. I don't need you lot here. Like, I'm trying to win this. I'm trying to sneak my way in. So yeah, we've got our job to do, and the idea of getting, I mean, spoilers for anyone that hasn't watched the first season, but knocking off the Champions League so early was like, okay, that's gone. And at the time I'm thinking, great, that's already done. And then I'm realising, I've got to win the Europa League in a series where the idea is to win the title in these top leagues. So I can't be a team bad enough to not win the league, but I need to be a team good enough to then... It's a nightmare, basically. It's a nightmare.
And the investigation from UEFA from throwing matches in the Champions League, that all
Look,
went okay, I
so
assume.
I'm hoping to drag it out for 2 years and appeal it. So by the time that all comes through, I'll be away with all my 14 trophies.
Now, one thing we've seen in FM20 with you and your Dortmund save is much like Sir Alex Ferguson, much like Brian Clough, you have a habit of picking your rather son in your starting 11.
No, I'm going to stop you there. He's one of the best players in world football, so I'm not having that.
Is this pretty much due to the many alleged missed child benefit payments you did not pay, and due to your failed appearance on Jeremy Kyle? Is that why you're picking to make
honestly,
up for
mate,
it?
these rumours are getting out of hand. No,
People are talking, the public are talking, the press are talking. I just think it's only fair we approach
Well,
it.
I've had a lot of comments saying there's favouritism involved, and I think actually when you look at the bare stats and the bare numbers, you'll notice that he's actually better than people realise. And on a serious point, he actually is. He actually is better than people realise.
His mental stats are really good.
His mentals and physicals are quite good. His technicals aren't quite there, but he has got the same surname as me, and that is enough. If anyone's ever watched one of my series, they'll know that the player names are a bigger part of the series than the attributes. So it's not just because it's my son. It could be anything. I've had players called. So I had a player called Elena from Barcelona, Charles Elena. I called him Derek one year because I couldn't properly pronounce his surname. I can do it now, not a problem. Although someone will still pick up how I said it incorrectly. So the name is more important than the player attributes. So look, and especially when he's got my surname, I've got to respect my boy. I've got to give him every chance in life until he goes back to Spurs and I can't buy him for 110 million at my next club.
I was going to say, you're going to try and sign a permanent deal if at all possible, because it might be a bit expensive.
The next club I go to, I will do everything in my power to buy him because I don't think he'll be loanable anymore. What I can say for Paul Carr and his future is I've given him the best chance ever. He's had 60 Bundesliga games to become one of the best midfielders in the world. So when he is in 5 years' time, and when he's costing me league titles at a different club, we'll remember this.
I like the fact that you're bringing in players like Gareth Bale is my man crush. I love Gareth Bale. So see Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo come in there as well, and to having played alongside Carr, it's peculiar.
Yeah.
But it's the hashtag narrative, as they say. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, people think that Carr's going to learn a lot from Ronaldo. I look at it the other way. I think if Ronaldo can take a few, there's a work rate that Carr's got that Cristiano doesn't possess anymore. I want to inspire across the board, not just for his leadership abilities and his goal scoring and his penalties mainly. I'm finding at Dortmund, but no, what I actually tried to do in that was bring Messi in at the same time. So I wanted both of them, and then Barcelona were like, "Lionel, do you want another contract? Do you want another year on your contract?" And he just gets someone else to sign it at this point. So. So yeah, I would have had them both at Dortmund, and I thought I was going to get them. And then Ronaldo signed, and I was thinking, "Where's the Messi deal?" And I realised, he signed a contract, and I just ignored it and didn't notice. So I was gutted.
You forgot.
Yeah, but yeah, imagine that Carr, Messi, Ronaldo. I think that was never mind.
And Bob, don't forget Bob.
Well, yeah, Lewandowski can't believe he's third choice behind Belotti and Ronaldo. He's gutted. He came in from Bayern on big money. He thought, "There's no way he can't play me," and I just forgot he existed. It's terrible.
Forgotten man, just rotted away in the reserves.
Oh, it's terrible.
I mean, on FM20, much like any of your previous saves, Danny Graham is following you around like a bad habit. And we've seen him be approached by Derby County, I believe, and he thankfully turned it down. I mean, where did your weird obsession with Danny Graham come in? And more importantly, does he know about it in real life?
I tried to DM him on Instagram, but apparently I can't. I think he has to either follow me or something. So what I'm going to have to do now is really... Well, what I'm going to have to do now is spam his pictures, being like, "Oh, Danny, please reply to my message." So at some point, I'm going to have to lower my own dignity to that level to be like, "Oh, Danny, please respond to one of my DMs." But no, so the story of Danny Graham actually starts pre-YouTube, because I had a Middlesbrough save where Lee Tomlin played in behind Danny Graham at Middlesbrough on FM13, and Danny Graham scored 40 goals in a championship season or something. So I was like, right, he's one of the best players ever. I then signed an Argentine version of Danny Graham at Parma while having the real Danny Graham at the same time. Brought him in at Parma, got 2 in his debut, won the game. So from that point, I was like, he's already a legend. I then decided to take him to the occasional... Wherever I went then, people want me to sign Danny Graham. It doesn't matter where I am at that point. So I bought him at Manchester United on a beta save. So I bought Zlatan in one year, but then Danny Graham was there as well. It was very confusing. And then I brought him at Inter And on his debut, once again, Danny Graham makes an impact. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a thing. And now he's my assistant. And he keeps getting job offers all over the place. So I just have to offer him a slightly improved assistant manager contract, which I do like because it says that really Borussia Dortmund assistant manager is a bigger job than a Derby County manager. So sorry, Derby fans, but that is official at this point. So yeah, it's just a thing now, isn't it? Like the same, I had it with Andy Tannoy as well. Like even when I'm doing saves today and they know he plays 6 divisions above, people are going, sign Andy Tannoy. It's like he's on $3,000 a week. It's not going to happen. Whatever. Like it's just, yeah, it's a constant thing.
I saw you look at him today in the stream. It was weird seeing. I forgot about Andy Tannoy, from the Salford days. So when you brought up in your stream, I thought, yeah, imagine him playing for. Who's he managing again?
Great Yarmouth.
Great
It's
Yarmouth.
all right.
That's it. Great Yarmouth.
It's understandable that you'd forget. It's quite a forgettable place. It's my local boys.
I saw the picture of the ground, which looks really weird. It's like. Is that what?
Yeah.
Is that Google Maps or something? It looks
it's like they've put it there and then they've decided, right, shall we build an athletics track?
Pretty much.
Well, we're going to have a football pitch, yeah, but let's do an athletics track as well. Okay, yeah, but why are we 20 metres from the pitch? I don't know really. We just are. Well, but where are all the other people going to sit? We'll put benches around. Like if anyone ever goes to Great Yarmouth Ground, there's just benches with like little sort of in like little shelters, little bus shelters. It's got like that. It's typically British in that it's got that little quirk to it, but at the same time, it's not the Emirates. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not quite at that level. Not yet. I mean, yeah. Give me 15 years and we'll be up there with them.
I know you spoke previously about potentially a hashtag save. I'm sure you spoke about it on Twitter before. For the guys that haven't seen your episode tonight, why did you go for Great Yarmouth rather than hashtag?
Oh, it's frustrating because I do genuinely think hashtag is one of the most interesting projects. Like, I'm relatively good friends with Spencer as well. I wanted to have a save with him, like with his team, and take them to the glory that I expect they want to go to in real life over many years. And I just think, as a project, it's a really interesting project. There's not many teams in world football that are funded primarily from their online viewership or online viewership, which has led to sponsorships such as Football Manager, right? Like it's an amazing story, but I can't use hashtag and do a hashtag save and have people who are fans of hashtag leave comments saying, how do I get the database if I haven't got a database which is 100% accurate? And I think that was the problem. I couldn't get a database that was perfect. They obviously put one out a few years ago, but then there's issues with doing like potential ability and current ability. And people have already said that on the databases that are available of hashtag, they're already quite overpowered. And I didn't want to pick a team that would be blatantly better than everyone else because it's not fun to watch, right? Like with Great Yarmouth I've got at the moment, we've had a few upsets here and there. And like we're still a bit of an underdog in a world where hashtag aren't because of their financial security and the players they've already got at their disposal. They got promoted in their first season. They're doing very well in their second season. So, yeah, for lots of reasons we didn't do it. The main one was that I couldn't get it to be accurate. And if I had, then we'd do it. But I don't want to do a disservice to them either. Like, essentially, if you haven't got the real hashtag, what's the point in doing hashtag in that essence? So that was the decision.
We've seen a few guys create a team. You've done Thames FC. Are we ever going to see a Bottle Job FC in real life, let alone in the game? Are you going to do a hashtag? Create your own football team and call them Bottle Job FC.
It's the dream to create my own team. I'm not sure I'd call them Bottle Job FC. I think the branding on that is challenging. I'm not sure how many players would want to play for Bottle Job FC. No, I would love to be, in some capacity, I would love to be involved in a team where I could use my audience in some way to like be supporters of the team, maybe be sponsors of the team, and to galvanise my audience into thinking, yeah, this is something we can really get behind. I was actually asked recently by a local team to be club secretary, but I just don't think I don't think I've got the time to like put in to do it at the moment.
Does that mean like you've got to answer the phone and stuff, and you've got to like just transfer
arranging fixtures and things like that. And I've not done that role before, and I think just throwing me into it probably wouldn't be good for them or the other clubs in the league. So I'm going to avoid that. But no, I would love to be involved in some way, and I'm not sure what way that will be. And I've spoke to the club that asked me to do it, and I know a few of the boys that play for them or coach them and whatnot. So it's something long term I would love to be involved in. Look, if this save on Twitch keeps the viewership as it is doing and the support that we've got from people so far, then there is definitely a possibility that we provide sponsorship, whether that be an advertising board or kit sponsor or whatever. Like that would be amazing to me. That's like a dream come true to be part of a club in that fashion. But yeah, right now no one cares about Great Yarmouth. They're not from it, so it's my job to showcase what the team have got by name, and then of course we might end up caring about what happens to them in real life as well. We'll just have to see if it correlates. But we're one stream in at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see.
Are we getting a bit ahead of ourselves then, are we?
We are a little bit. But I think it's the dream for anyone. Like hashtag gets some criticism, but in my book, it's like they're doing what every football fan, every football manager player would love to do, right? Like it's
literally the dream.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and the way they do it in the right way as well. I just think any criticism they get just is often like people say, "Oh, don't do a hashtag tag. I don't like him." It's like, why don't you like him? Oh, I don't know. I just don't know what they stand for. And it's like, what a fan-owned club that has entered the league at one of the lowest levels and is looking to build it up to be something like amazing. You'd love it if you and your mates started that. Like that's all. I don't know. I think it's an amazing project. I watch it every week. Like I'm fully invested in it.
I could never hate hashtag because Spencer is just such a lovely guy. I've met him when he worked in FIFA esports, and he was such a lovely guy to speak to. It was unreal. Yeah. So, for that reason alone, I was a big fan of FIFA player. Show my age now. Many years ago when he did FIFA, and his Spencer FC, his West Ham team, and his England FIFA team that he did in that. So for me, for that reason, I'm always gonna like hashtag United. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't watch their real life football. I watch their esports stuff. I do watch a lot of that when I do the esports because I like FIFA esports. But I don't watch their football club stuff. But Spencer, as you mentioned, because you said you know personally, he just seems like the nicest guy ever. Yeah,
I've never had an interaction with him where I've thought, oh, that's not cool. Like he's always been as nice as he can be in the situations where I talk to him. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for him.
I mean, on FM19, we spoke about it already. Do you have a particular save in FM19 that you enjoyed one more than the other, or was there not a real particular standout one for you?
I had a stream save with Brescia that I really enjoyed, actually, because obviously Brescia have got quite a few young kids. Tonali is like the crown, the jewel in the crown, sorry. And I had a really fun save with them, and that was I lost that as I lost everything else. So it was like, not only did I lose my favourite stream save that I was really into, I also lost my YouTube stuff as well. So it was just... it was crushing, really. But yeah, that was probably my favorite. I went like 4 or 5 years in, and I was really into it. And we were like a season away from challenging in Italy, having got promoted in the first year. So yeah, it's probably that one, not a YouTube one. Although, like again, I didn't not enjoy. It's hard, isn't it? It's like the football debate. You can't say one footballer's good without everyone assuming you think his rival is terrible. Like it wasn't as if my other saves weren't fun, but in terms of like they weren't as fun as previous years, and hence, this I'd say whether with Brescia was probably my number one.
I'm glad to see you get back to the long-term saving quotation marks this year, because I'm not good when this guy says, well, you enjoyed it last year. You do this year, noticeably, in my opinion, look like you're a lot happier doing this save than you was last year. I'm not saying that you didn't look unhappy last year, but you do like you enjoyed it a lot more.
I believe in it more this year. That's the big thing.
The harmonica is a big addition. I
love the harmonica. Yeah, shout out to Ellie's dad that brought me a harmonica for Christmas. I mean, she's not very happy about it. I, on the other hand, absolutely delighted. So
I love it.
Oh, I have so much fun with it. It's great.
The best was ever done when you create a little tune, then try to recreate it. You could do it.
Yeah, that is an issue at the moment. My harmonica memory is letting me down currently.
I mean, on FM20, one-on-ones aside, we've just had a beta update, which I haven't played yet, allegedly fixing that. And one of the issues I've had on FM20, not just the one-on-ones, is balls over the top are just shredding me this year so many times. I've tried a deep defence, a high defence, offside trap, but all of them aside, what's your thoughts on FM20 this year?
It's interesting because when we went to the studios, obviously we played it early, and the early editions of the game weren't great. Like it had issues that were ironed out by the time the beta came. There were still a few teething issues there, and then obviously when you're first playing it, you don't really know. Like I spoke to the guys that work explicitly on the match engine, and I said, look, I don't necessarily know how good it is right now because I've not played it for 200 hours, 100 hours. Everyone that plays it for the first 20 hours, you can't notice patterns, you can't notice things that are happening too often. Like it's hard to see. But now I feel like everyone is at a point where they've got 100, 200, 300 hours and they're going, right, this is happening too much, that's happening too much, that's happening too much. The one thing I would say to people that are overly critical of the engine, and I when I make a comment about it in a video, like when I say, "Oh, look, what I'm on to a joke," and I sort of go into the microphone and closer and say, "Football Manager, do you see what's happening here?" Like I don't expect them ever to take that seriously. That is not me giving them feedback. I don't genuinely think they watch in the hope that they get feedback. Some of the guys that work on FM watch because they enjoy some of the series I do, but I would hate for them to ever think that I'm saying that as a serious way of giving feedback to them. The reality is, it doesn't annoy me enough to go on the forums and write it down. But what you've got to realise is there's lots of people that are doing that. And the myth that Football Manager put out a game in November and then by February go, "Oh, by the way, here's the winter update." And in between that time, we're just sat on their asses doing nothing. Like, they are constantly trying to see where there's patterns. If people are complaining, they're trying to look for all of those complaints and they're trying to figure out where they can tweak things and change things. And as we're seeing now, like a beta update has come out. They've probably been working on it for 2 weeks. They've probably been making sure that it is perfect before it goes out. There'll have been 6 tests on that particular version that's gone out to the beta probably. Like, that's just how game development works. Like, they won't just have decided, "Oh yeah, let's just tune that, make it better, put it out, see what everyone thinks." Like, it's a long process. And with any game code, when you change one thing, it affects 50 things. So you've got to make sure that you don't put out, like, if they put it out and went, "Oh, by the way, over the top 3 balls are fixed," and then you find that crosses are the most overpowered thing ever, and you go, "Why cross is overpowered now?" It's like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't check that. We just knew you were upset about over the balls over the top." So I think overall, I think the flow of matches is better. I think the problem is you're having too many similar scenarios. Like I said it in a video, I think that if I can tell what's happening, like, and I can already tell in January what's about to happen, that's not good. Like, you shouldn't be able to tell. If I can tell in sort of, I don't know, late August, fair enough. The game's been out for 10 months. I've only got 1,000 hours on it probably. Like, at that point, I'm kind of running it dry to the point of I know what's happening. I think it's okay. My one gripe now, like, it changes every year. There's always one thing that I think we should improve this and look to improve this. And it was training for a little bit. I still think the interface is nearly perfect, but not quite. I think there needs to be a decision on the match engine now. Like, we need to decide what the match engine is and how it works and how it operates. And do we want it to be a lifelike representation of football? Do we want it to be slightly more fluid, maybe cartoony to a level? Like, and pick one, because it's not close enough to FIFA and real life, like, simulation, and it's also too close to being shit, basically. Like, and that's the point right now, right, because we've got an effort, we've basically got an engine that would suit FM13 and FM14, which and it was good for that point, so people didn't complain about it. But has it advanced enough is the question to now. For me, goalkeepers need a complete rework, and if that means you have to create a new engine, then it might be time to bite the bullet, Sports Interactive, and work on a new engine. It's not as easy as me going, make a new engine, and then they just rustle up a new engine, right? It'll take years for them to come up with that, and I'm sure there's. I've got to say, I should say for any NDAs I've signed, I don't know if there's a new engine being worked on, but I suspect there always is being a new engine worked on in case that something happens with the current one. There has to be like a fail safe essentially. I think it's, you play it as much as I do probably. The game is great, but it doesn't mean we can't criticise things that we find frustrating. And for me, the match engine now is that thing that I look at and I think you feel out of place to everything else, because everything else has moved forward. You've got VAR, you've got social media, and we've still got a match engine which feels like it's from 2013, 14. And that's a gripe for me.
That's the only thing I haven't moaned about is the match engine. I mean, I play in 2D. We're going to play in 2Ds because watching it in 3D makes me want to cry.
So I'm the same. That's why my videos are exclusively 2D, pretty much.
My only issue is, much like you, is the goalkeeper, the way they maneuver. When you see the ball bounce off the post and he's facing the wrong way and it bounces on the back of his head.
Yeah.
We see SI, SI love it when it happens in real life, and they tweet the shit out of the video. See, it does happen in real life. But that's why I love SI, because they've got that fan interaction, the banter. Yeah. They're happy to get involved. There's no other, as far as I've seen, game developers that interact with the community as much as SI do. So though I may moan about the goalkeepers of the match engine, I love the game. It's one of the few games that I'll buy every year. It's the one game that I play more than any other game, hands down. I didn't play it when my daughter was getting bored like some other people have done, but I have played it quite a lot.
Yeah,
it's a superb game.
people have got to remember they'll be aware of all the issues. Like they're not they're not just sitting around thinking, oh, have we got the best football like game simulation out there? Oh, well, that's the job done for the year. Like they are constantly looking at ways to improve and innovate. Of course they are. They can't afford to sit still because eventually that'll be the point where another game comes along and goes, right, they're not trying hard enough. We're in. Like and people you've got to ask, why hasn't that happened already? Like why has no one already done that? I'll tell you why, because they're ahead of the curve. They're ahead of the game year on year. Like, and they all play the game. They play the game more than the average person that buys the game every year. Everyone that works in that studio, on average, will 100% play the game more than the average buyer of the game. If that makes sense.
You don't see FIFA career mode taking over at Football Manager on the PC scene, then no.
Well, the problem is FIFA career mode is dreadful. That's the biggest problem they've got at the moment. That EA just don't care in any way, shape, or form. Which is
all they care about is fun. I know I've just gone off a complete tangent, but I stopped playing FIFA a couple of years back because it just got ridiculous. But I said years ago, FIFA career mode could one day rival FM, and then they didn't touch it for 5 years. I just thought, fuck it, we're not going to bother anymore.
Well, there's
nothing out there to rival them. We've seen some little shitty pop-ups, drop up for a year and disappear again, but there's nothing out there to rival them. And I've had people in the podcast before who have said, oh, because SI don't care and they know there's nothing to rival them. I don't think that's the case.
That's so frustrating for them because they can't put out a tweet and go, actually we do really care. Like obviously they can't do that. Like with EA, there's two ways of looking at it. One, their business model is perfect. Like they make an outrageous amount of money and people will buy the game more year on year on year. So on that level, the career mode community don't matter because there's not enough of them that are restricting sales. Like it doesn't make as much difference anymore, and even if it did, it doesn't matter because people are buying packs to offset the lack of sales from career mode. That's the problem really. That's what, like if I was PES right now, I would forgo all online activity and I'd bring out the best career mode possible. Like because they've got ultimate in terms of creativity, they can make basically because they're not licensed. They should see that and go, right, because we're not licensed, let's use that to our advantage, not look at it as a negative. Let's not go out and try and challenge EA for licenses because it doesn't make people buy games, frankly. That's the bottom line of it. Football Manager have limited licenses and don't have the biggest league in the world. And still, it's sold more this year than it has in any other year ever. So no one's going to tell me that licenses make a massive difference. It's gameplay, it's familiarity. And if the career mode YouTubers all suddenly went, there's a really good career mode version on PES, we're going to use it, then that would change a lot of people's minds because all of a sudden you've got an active player base playing your game, adding to it. Again, there's so much customization with PES that you can't have with FIFA because as much as they've got a license, they're also restricted by licensing. Whereas PES, in my book, have got like a free open book. Is this a Football Manager podcast? Sorry,
I'm happy.
It just occurred to me.
I'm happy to talk PES. I love PES. I mean, I played PES back in the day when it was like ISS Pro Evolution, let alone when it was PES. You know what I mean?
So I've never really played it, but the thing that would make me intrigued is if they said, right, we're going to bin off online and we're going to go all in on career mode and on like clubs. Like they could almost take the clubs element and the career mode element and say, well, that's our game now. Because Football Manager aren't never going to touch anything like that. Football Manager's online mode is forget it. Like it's not really a thing. So there's a gap for people like PES, and there's still a gap for people like Football Manager to continue. While career mode's gone, I'm trying to hook in career mode guys every day. Like the career mode guys who love FIFA videos, I'm thinking, right, let's see if they can come over and enjoy this because it's not too far removed from what they do on their consoles.
Excuse me, sorry.
It's all right.
So what are we going to get into now, mate?
Hashtag FIFA chat.
It's like myself, Ben, or Benji, or Sir Benji, or
Ben.
Dr.
Ben,
Benji,
definitely Ben. Benji's a terrible mistake. You go with Ben.
like myself, Ben, you did a video about 6 months ago on your own struggles previously of mental health. Have you found YouTube, Twitch has hindered or helped your mental health in any way, shape or form at all? Because I found that with my own mental health, it meant that I've taken a massive step back over the last year because I just haven't got the confidence or whatever to say to do it right now. But how have you found it helping you or hindering you at all?
Well, I think there was definitely a period when I was younger, in my early 20s, where it hindered me because you'd see everyone else doing things that you wished you could do or wanted to do, and you'd realise that they weren't achievable or attainable, and that would affect you negatively. I I think social media is a double-edged sword. I think the idea that you can go on social media and you can sympathize with people and you can understand your own condition sometimes, and you can relate yourself to other people is can be a really positive thing, because it can make you realize you're not alone in any struggles you've got, and there's always a way out, right? For everyone that's struggling, hopefully there's someone that's thriving and has found a way out of the situation they were in to begin with. Equally, I think social media as it is, things like Twitter, there's aspects of Twitter I really love, and like talking to viewers and stuff is really great. There is a massive toxic side of Twitter, and I'm not. I should clarify, I'm not talking about the Football Manager community, right? When people act like sometimes the Football Manager community is the worst community around, it's really not. It's not at all. Like it's very tame compared to other places. But there is this toxic side of Twitter where everyone has to put someone else down to make themselves feel better, right? And I don't think the Football Manager community could ever be accused of that, but it's definitely something that happens socially, and arguably has always happened socially, but now you're able to tell whoever you want, whenever you want, and almost anonymously. And I think that can be a struggle for people, because they're just dealing with it every day, and it's hard to switch it off, because there's the idea of it's attention versus unwanted attention. And people often say, "Oh, there's no such thing as bad publicity." Well, there is on Twitter, and there is on the online world, where you can be built up and destroyed in the same day. Like the way that how the story's been told, like it's so dangerous. For my own personal dealings with it, it was like Twitter, Twitch, YouTube was my path out. Like I went through 6 or 7 years of feeling as low as I felt I could go, and realizing that, do you know what? This doesn't have to be the way it is. And I said it in the video, and I've said it on podcasts before, that my big thing was realizing a few years down the line, around sort of 2017, 18, that, do you know what? I do have bad days, and that's fine, and that's okay. And a bad day is absolutely allowed, but just know the difference between that and a bad life. And I felt like between the ages of 20 and 25, I had a life that I wasn't happy with, and it was just going on, and I was just existing within this shit life that I wasn't enjoying. And I found a way out by just deciding, do you know what? It's not just going to happen for me. I'm not suddenly just going to become better. I'm not suddenly going to be given a great job. I'm not going to be given opportunities. I don't have to go out and make them happen for me. Like I say, you've got to be selfish a little bit to get out of a mental health struggle. Like you've got to look after yourself so that you can become the best version of you. And for too long, I was just hoping someone was going to put the parts on me, and all of a sudden I was going to be this great version of me. And I realised, you know, it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And that then led me to start doing Twitch and YouTube, and thinking, do you know what? There's something I can be good at here. Let's push for it. Let's strive for it. And I think it's not an easy way out, and it's never going to be the option for everyone. But it's those small goals that I set when I did this. So I wanted to get like 50 viewers, and I wanted to get 100 viewers, and I wanted to get 2,000 people following, or 100 people following, and then making videos, and I wanted to be able to make 5 videos in a week, right? They all become very personal goals that maybe sometimes rely on other people, but as long as you're setting goals that you know you can achieve, then eventually you have little positives at the end of every day, rather than a solid negative of nothing happening, because you're not allowing yourself to make a difference. And if you push yourself a little bit harder sometimes, and again, you're gonna have days, like you're gonna have days where you just don't want to and you can't be bothered. And I've gone from being that person who spent from the ages of 21 to 24, 25 doing next to nothing, feeling like I was completely worthless, to uploading a video almost every day for 5 years, and getting out of bed every day knowing no one was going to tell me to. Haven't got my own boss. Like, I am my own boss. I have to get out of bed. If I want to earn money, move out, start a family, get married, go on holiday, I have to make sure those things happen by getting out of bed and making it happen for me. Like, and that was, sorry, I'm getting a little bit preachy here. I feel like I've gone on for 25 minutes, but but you have to get to that point, and it's really difficult to accept that you're in a deep and dark place. Like we spoke about it a little bit before we started, right? And that's the biggest thing. If you can admit that you're in that position, and if you know people, you got friends who are in that position right now, it's very difficult for you to be the person to say you're going through this, you're going through that. You kind of have to step back and let them figure it out, because then they can tackle it. Whereas if you tell them, they'll be in denial about it. So you have to just let a person realise, and that could take, for some people, that takes 20 years. And that's the problem, that's the struggle, that's the hard bit to watch sometimes, when you can see someone struggling for such a long period of time. For some people, it'll be 6 months. Some people, it'll be a couple of years. For me, it was maybe 6 or 7 years, where there was a turning point where I was told you've got depression. I went home, told Ellie, and she went, "Yeah, I know," and I was like, "Right, everyone knew. Okay, now I know, and now it's time to do something about it." And that still took me a year to even decide. Right, I'm going to start making moves, and years later, here we are. So, I guess the story is it's possible. If you're feeling down or you're struggling at the moment, it doesn't have to be like that forever. It might be like that now. It might be like that for the next 6 months. But work on making every day better, and then the rest of your life will take care of itself.
I mean, you spoke about social media, the toxicity.
It's not easy.
Toxicity.
We know what you mean.
That word you just said, yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, a couple of years back, I was one of the guys. I was just having to go everywhere, left, right, centre, and I think that was me projecting, shall we say? You know,
trying to find where you fit in. That's probably what it was.
I was an angry man, you know, and I also had larger YouTubers in my ear, you know, telling me go after this person, go after that person, you know, and I did like an idiot. But when you get the abuse I've seen you get in the past, you know, and how does that affect you mental health wise, or you at the stage now where you go, I'm not interested? I mean, how does it affect you, or does it affect you at all?
It definitely bothers me when fellow creators are talking shit, which happens very rarely now. At one point, it happened a lot. I want to talk to them and I want to say, look, I totally get you might feel like this about me, but talk to me. See if we get on. Like, don't like, if after that we don't, and you want to keep those opinions you've got, that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to sit here and try and change your mind for a month, right? But give me a chance. Like, so in that respect, I'll still reach out to people and want to have that dialogue with them. With people that just say comments or tweets or just like are going after me for nothing, my approach has changed in the last few years. That I'm in that person's head enough from my past to know why they're doing it, why they're going through it, and that at that point it becomes very easy to rationalize it. So I don't get affected by it because I can understand that they are struggling so much more than I am. And the amount of times someone tweets me something and I go back and forth with them for 5 messages, and then I say at the end, I say, if you want to DM me, like DM me and we'll talk about it. And I reckon about 15 times they've DM'd me, and by the end of the DMs, they're apologising and saying, like, I'm sorry, I'm just going through a rough day. And it's like, yeah, I know. Like, I knew before we started this, like the third tweet, I could tell that's what it was. And so I don't get upset by it because I feel for the person more now. And I think that's another problem with Twitter, is that like you have celebrities and you have high profile people saying, oh, you know, it's just the haters and the trolls online. And it's like, yeah, you got to realize why they're doing it. They're not just doing it aimlessly for no reason. They're doing it because they are struggling. Like, the mental health issue is a bigger issue for those people than it is for you receiving the grief you're getting. If you can flip it and realize that, it's 10 times easier to deal with. Because you're not worrying about if they're actually going after you for, like, if they've got a reason to, you kind of have to suck it up, right? But if you know they're just talking, then it's very easy to detach yourself from what they're saying and what the truth is.
So you spoke sometimes about having a bad day. When you're having a bad day, shall we say, because you all have them, do you still do content creation, or do you just say, look, I'm going to take a break today, or do you just battle through it? Probably is the wrong choice of words, but we use that, or do you just battle through it and do the content regardless?
Yeah, I have significantly less hard days now. So do you
think it's because you're now doing what you love doing so much that? Do you know what I mean? Because you're now doing YouTube and Twitch much more than you was, and you're enjoying it so much more. Do you think that's why things are a little bit easier for you? Whereas before, where you, I forgot what you were diagnosed with.
I had a pulmonary embolism.
That's the one. Apologies. So back then, when you wasn't as active on Twitch and YouTube, etc., do you think now you've got something to focus on? Do you think that's helped you a bit?
Yeah, I think it comes down to that short-term goal with long-term aspirations thing. Like, if you can hit these short-term goals, that helps. So my short-term goal every day is let's make a video and let's put it out and let's hope people enjoy it. And that is literally as simple as that sometimes. But being more positive is a big part of it as well. Like, you gain nothing from being negative. Like, you really don't. And look, everyone has a bitch and a moan at times because that's just part of, like, you can't not ever do that because you just explode. Of course. But I spend my life now trying to be one of the most positive people that I want people around me to think, oh, do you know what? I've enjoyed spending 2 hours chatting with him. I feel better for it. And before there'd been times where like I was hard work, I'm fully aware of it. Like whether it just be me being argumentative or being stupid. Now, if I get into an argument with someone, it gets 3-4 minutes in and I'm just bored. I'm just like, oh, no, I'm not doing this. It's not worth it. No one wins. Like I'll surrender. I'll give up. And on Twitter, like I used to be outspoken about things, and I still stand by a lot of what I said. Like I don't think I was intentionally hostile to people. I definitely rubbed people up the wrong way because I to some people I came out of nowhere and then had a following, and then my following would occasionally just back whatever I said, whether they agreed or not, and then that would get people's backs up because they would think, oh man, I can't win it because everyone's thinking this one thing when I'm trying to put off like a alternate view. So you'd constantly, I'd clash with people all the time on different topics. Whereas now, one, I don't say nearly as much. I'm not thinking as much either. I don't have as many opinions on the Football Manager community, especially, than I did before. Like people can do whatever they want, wherever they want, and I realised that the people that want to listen to me will come to me and ask me about stuff if they want advice, and the people that won't, and I'm at peace with that. That's fine. I don't have to try. There was a point where I wanted to drive the community forward for everyone, and now I've got a project coming which will hopefully do that, but I'm not at constant odds thinking we all should be better. We should all do this. Like, that doesn't fill my mind anymore.
What we'll say, just to recap, is that's some great comments. I mean, I like the fact that you said, Tim's having a bad day and a life, and I never really thought about it that way before, because when you're in that mindset, you think, oh my God, my life is so bad. But then look, if it were actually, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got this, I've got that. There's other people that have got a much worse life than I have, and in much worse situations I have. I never really thought about it that way. So, that's something that I'll definitely take away from my chat is to think about, though. And I said FM19, I just didn't do any real content creation at all because 2019 was one of the years I want to forget about, but 2020 I want to come back, and I'm hoping after seeing videos like yours, for example, and do my own video, and the fact that people are nowadays being a lot more open about mental health, I'm hoping that we can help other people. I mean, in my video, one of my friends cried. I mean, he's not going to listen to this because he hates Football Manager, but he cried and said, look, I've struggled for years, but I was so embarrassed to talk about it, but seeing your video about it, it helped me a lot. I mean, my mum and dad didn't know about my mental health, but I put my video on Facebook after a few days. And like, why didn't you tell us? And I was like, because I was too embarrassed. And I just want to I saw that, and you've been a big advocate of that. We shouldn't be embarrassed about how we feel, and it's not.
I will say on that though, it's totally understandable to feel like that. Like it makes perfect sense that you wouldn't want to let down your barriers because you just don't, especially when you don't want to let them down to people that might judge you for it, and you've had experience of that. But again, it's that sort of thing. Like holding it back is almost a negative, and it's positive to be able to be you. So and that is part of you, as much as it might be a part that you don't enjoy necessarily. Like your mental health was affecting you, and I imagine for you, like part of your struggle was letting it out there. And as soon as you told people, you thought, right, I'm not hiding that anymore. That's not something I have to worry about as much because I know it's out there. And I'm sure people came to you and said, look, I can help you with this. I can do this for you. Like that tends to happen a lot more than people realize pre-talking about it.
100%. My wife, for example, has been fantastic. She knew I had issues, but it wasn't until she saw the video, we sat down, had a long conversation about why I had my issues due to stuff from when I was younger and whatnot, that she never knew about. She's like, well, we never spoke about it. I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, and talking to someone, I can't emphasize how much talking about it has helped me. Really, really has. Hence why I want to get back into being more involved in the community and not being quite as toxic as I was before. I mean, I reached out to you privately. I said, look, I've been a d*** in the past. Apologies. But 2 years ago, I would have done that. I'm like, yeah, Benji's a d***, Ludo's a d**, Loki Doki's a d**, everyone's a d**, because I was projecting. I was an angry man inside, so the best way to react was to call everyone a dickhead, but I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. So just to reiterate, mate, I really appreciate the fact that you've been so open about the struggles you've been through, but also the more positive note, that the fact that you've managed to get through to the other side and use it to motivate you to set yourself little short-term goals and targets. I hope that other people can use the same advice to help themselves.
Yeah, I talk about it with like quite a lot of clarity now, but it doesn't mean I don't have days where I wish like things were different and I wish things were better. But then my job now is to go and make those differences and go and make things better. Like I can't just sit in. It's just coming to terms with realizing that if stuff's going to happen, I'm going to make it happen, and being motivated enough to then go and actually do it. Because last year I did a lot of talking, not a lot of doing, and this year is the year of doing. So let's see where it goes.
We've seen so many teams, shall we say, like streaming teams and YouTube teams come out of the last sort of year to 18 months. Yeah. We had WeStream FM. We had what I personally think was the best team, the Collab Crew, that lasts about 5 minutes. You know, you've got Passion for FM, FM Base, you've got FM Scout, etc. Have you ever been approached by another team or thought about starting your own team, or do you see no real benefits to being in a team per se?
I think they only work if everyone puts in the same amount of effort. I think that was a factor with WeStream FM, who I think have been the most successful of all the teams. One, they got on in real life, that helped big time because they were communicating every day, and it wasn't like a constant climb of let's use each other to build each other up. It was an idea of let's just build each other up and see if we grow together. And I think that was a big thing for them. So, and then the majority of them got invited to go to Football Manager like 2 years after they started it, because they were clear, they cared about what they were doing, and they worked harder. I've been approached before, but it's the sort of thing where I don't necessarily see the benefit, because I don't think I can offer what they would want me to offer in that case. So like, if someone would want me to run a stream team, I don't even really know what that would mean. Like, I think if people can be individually focused on what they're doing and then collaborate. Like, so for example, me and Jack aren't part of a team, but we'll collaborate and we'll do stuff together. And that goes for many creators. Like, I'm open to work with any Football Manager creator that would be listening to this now. If you've got an idea that you think is good and that you think I'd be right for, let's collaborate on it. Let's work together on it. Like, let's make something happen. I'm absolutely down to do that. Sometimes I won't always think it's a great idea and we won't do it, but there'll be times where I'll think, yeah, let's push on with that and let's make something of it. I said to you before we started, I said this is like some of the most fun stuff I do. You sit down and actually talk to people and get their experience of the way things are going, and they ask about my experience of the way things are going. Like, this is great. So I think that can happen without you being pigeonholed into be in this team and let's make it happen. Especially, and I will say, and some of them won't like this, but some of the fan sites that create teams and they're not paying creators to be a part of their team, and they're not offering anything either monetarily or creators aren't seeing anything back, do not be a part of those teams, because they are people that are just trying to make money from the creators, whether it be creating content. Like, if you're creating content for a channel and they've got advertising on their website or on their blog or on their YouTube channel, and you're not seeing a return on that, then I don't know what you're doing it for, to be honest. And I'm not saying you have to make money from it, but you have to, like, if you think you're learning from it and you're growing from it and it's giving you an audience to grow from, then fine, right? There's mutual beneficial there, or benefits to that process. But if you're just doing it to think that one day a video is going to blow up and you're going to be a channel with X amount of followers, X amount of subscribers, like, it's not going to happen that way, because they're going to build you up to a point of you'll never outgrow them. And your goal should be to outgrow me, to outgrow Jack, to outgrow FM Scout, to outgrow Football Manager to some degree, right? There's some creators in games that are bigger than the games themselves. Look at, like, so that should be the goal. And I always feel like I have to preface this with, like, if that's not your aim, and your aim isn't to grow and your aim is to have fun and create content, then please ignore everything I just said. Like, because it doesn't apply to you. It's the people that are frustrated with the lack of growth, that join teams that don't work out. Like, figure out what you're doing it for, and then work towards that goal. And very rarely will that mean aligning yourself with other people. You can do that, but you don't have to put a label on it, which then restricts your growth, because you can only grow as big as they'll let you. Like, let your wings spread, Ben, is what I'm getting at. Let your wings spread. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to take a leap.
I've never been involved in the YouTube teams, or as you may want to call them, for the reason you just said, because I was told by people and others, don't get involved for the exact reason you just said. I got involved with Passion FM because there was like, look, you do your podcast, we want to put our name on it and we'll promote it for you. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like, oh, awesome. You know, you're not taking any money for it. For example, you're gonna do a podcast. I'm gonna put your name on, then you're gonna promote it for me. And they've been so good. But you're right. There's been other. I'm not.
But that just to go on that is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying you both mutually benefit. That is point in case perfect, right? They want you to be part of something. You're happy to be part of something. You both feel like you're getting something out of it. Great. Like without getting too technical, that is business. That's how businesses work. That's what you're doing, which is great.
Would you ever think about? I mean, like I've already mentioned. Would you ever think about doing something yourself, or is that just you collaborations, etc.? Would that be it for you?
I've got something coming up soon, which is not like I'm not creating a Fanta or anything, but I'm doing a Football Manager tournament, which will have like almost a 50-50 split of Football Manager creators and people that play FM outside of the community. And I think I can say this. I'm working with Gfinity, who I'm hoping that if you are into your esports a little bit, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So we've been working for 6 months on putting together a project, and we're close to announcing something in the next couple of months where we can do what I want to be the biggest Football Manager tournament ever to have existed. So yeah. So we'll see if that works. We could talk about it when we stop recording.
I was going to say, I'm not going to talk, because I've got so many questions now, but I'm not going to ask them right now. And I won't talk about it because probably must be surprised, but you have blown. I mean, that is, if you don't know esports, Gfinity is like, they changed the game when they started doing the FIFA Gfinity tournaments. Yeah. You know, it completely changed the game. There's so many unknown FIFA. I'm talking FIFA again, aren't I? I can't help it. FIFA's a game that I hate playing, but I love watching other people play. It sounds really weird. But Gfinity, man, they're huge. Yeah. That is, again, if you don't know esports, it's a pretty big deal. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Really,
in my mind, they're the biggest esports company in the UK. That's how I look at it.
It's hard to disagree. You know, I mean, there's not many out there that have their own studio. I mean, they have their own studio, for Christ's sake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll be using that.
Oh, all right, okay. I'm not going to go any further because I'm going to be your. So one thing, quick question for you. I mean, there's that classic thing about what bit of advice would you give to a content creator. But my question is, what's the best advice you've been given by someone in regards to your own content creation?
It probably wasn't given to me by someone in the scene, but it was like I would often listen to influencers outside of this space to then bring advice they're giving to my own content. And something I couldn't even tell you where I heard it or where I learned it from, or learned it from, but it's the idea of appeal to the audience you've got and hope others follow. Don't appeal to the audience you don't have. And I think sometimes we see that a little bit too much in the Football Manager community, where you are appealing to audiences that don't exist, so then you alienate your own audience while not actually bringing anyone new in. Like, if you find something you're enjoying and you know people are enjoying, make that as good as it can be and then do something else. Like, so with some of the guys that do experiment stuff in the FM scene, a lot of the guys that do the best experiment stuff have mastered their version of Let's Plays. So they've got a core audience that watch their Let's Plays, and then it allows them to branch out into something new. So, like, sometimes I see people just like start a save and then do another save and then do another save and then do another save. I'm thinking, you've not mastered save 1. Why are we on save 4? Like, let's figure out, and you've done like 10 episodes of each one. Like, let's hone in on this one, make it as good as it can be, finish it, then go again. And I think that's what I learned. It's just make sure you're making something that you know appeals to the people that already give a shit rather than the people you hope will give a shit.
That's fantastic advice. I mean, you mentioned experiments. I mean, there's a lot of experiments out there. I mean, I've mentioned before, there's a lot of the classic, if I give this team £1 billion, let's see how well they do. They do really, really well. What's your thoughts on experiments in general? Do you watch them? Are you not a fan of them?
I think for bringing new people to the game, they're massive. And I probably underestimated that to a point. I think you've only got to look at Jack's channel this year to see how big of an impact they can have. He's got videos with 100,000, 200,000 views that have like elevated him to nearly 100,000 subscribers. He'll be the first channel to do it. So they've definitely got a place. I think he cares about his experiments. That's a big part of it. I think some people do experiments just to do them and not because they think they'll be good content. Sometimes people do it for the title and not for what's in it sometimes. And I think knowing Jack, I know Jack cares about what goes in it as much as he cares about what the title's going to be and what the thumbnail is. They're important, don't get me wrong, they're really important, but they're not more important than the bit in the middle, in my opinion. Because that's the bit that will keep people coming back. Like the amount you'll have done it before. You'll go on a video, you'll see a title and a thumbnail, you'll think, "Oh, this looks good," and then you'll watch 2 minutes of it and go, "Well, this is rubbish."
Yeah.
Like the middle bit's got to be the most important bit, but it doesn't mean the other bits can't be good. So like, I think they're fine. Like that, when I used to hate them before, it was when it was the sort of thing people would exclusively do and then complain about not growing. And it's like, well, you can't grow if you just do one-off events. It's like people saying, "Oh, why aren't people coming to the athletics every time?" But then when they spend billions of pounds on the Olympics, everyone watches.
Yeah.
And it's like it's essentially the same thing.
I mean, I'm not going to suck him off, but Bood, my mate, I love him or you hate him, but he's one of the guys out there that puts so much fucking effort, just like Jack, into his experiments. And I love Bood's experiments because they've all got some weird... I mean, he had one the other day about 3 boys that were footballers that became soldiers that then came back to being footballers, which sounds really fucking mental, but the amount of work that went into it is awesome. But to go back even further, what I will say about Jack is his thumbnails are some of the best thumbnails that I've seen out there at the moment. His thumbnails at the moment are getting better and better and better.
You can tell he works in graphic design at uni, can you?
I was just going to say, I mean, you can clearly tell that because I know he worked in the computer, or he works in the computer game industry, I believe.
Yeah.
So you can tell that he knows what he's doing, but his thumbnails are on point, and you can see Niall, like series by series, we're getting better and better and better. So for me, it used to be Wolfie had the best thumbnails out there, but for me, Jack at the moment's thumbnails are just...
Oh, wow. Don't tell him that.
I won't, because I think he'd love it a bit too much, but his thumbnails at the moment are absolutely on point. What I want to get into now is my favourite part of the show, no offence to the early questions, is the Spitfire question. The reason why I love them, normally I sometimes get a bit angry about your answers. If I swear at you, I apologise. My aim is to be nice, but when you say silly things, I'm going to get a bit upset. So if I swear at you, I'll tell you to f*** off. I apologise, all right?
That's fine. As long as my viewers are prepared for that, because, you know. Right. Just to let everyone know, I'm okay with it. Go on.
So, Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Who do you support?
Liverpool.
FIFA or Pro Evo?
FIFA.
Favourite TV show?
I'm going to say ever, so it's Breaking Bad.
Great shout. What's your favourite film?
The Dark Knight.
Great shout. Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox.
That's a good one when we fall out. When people say PlayStation.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really care. I think they're both a bit average.
I don't play consoles anymore, but I grew up as a PlayStation fan, and then I played the Xbox 360. From then onwards, it's been Xbox or nothing.
Yeah. Well, I started PlayStation, then went to Xbox. So.
A controversial one now. Attribute masking, on or off?
Off. That means you can see everything, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, off.
2D or 3D?
2D.
Good lad. Apart from me, of course, and yourself, who's your favourite content creator?
Or Football Manager?
Yeah.
Oh God. Right. See, this is tricky because I think there's. So you want a quick answer? I feel like. So stream wise, like I will often watch Curty, or I'll watch Dan, or I'll watch Foxy, and people like that. Like anyone, basically, there's a set amount of streamers I'll watch. YouTube wise. Do you know what? I'm going to get... This is too obvious from me, so I apologise to everybody, but he smashed it this year, so I'll give it to Work the Space, because I've watched more of his videos this year than I did the entirety of last year.
I'm a big fan of his new save at the moment. You know, it was I watched the first episode. I've never heard of Cadbury's FC before. That just fucking blew my mind. What was there? I think it was a team called Big Cheese something. That was basically a team made from I don't know what it was. But yeah, he's got a really good save going at the moment. But anyway, the controversial one now, regen or new gen?
Well, I know it's new gen, but it's regen.
Good lad. That's the one I want to hear. It is regen. I know they call it new gen, but to me, it would always be
new gen's right. They're right to call it because it's not a regen, but I will always call it regen. So
because they used to be regen, didn't they? We're back in the day.
Yeah, they used to be regens, and now they're newly generated rather than regenerated. So, yeah.
So you got a choice: Liverpool win the Premiership or England win the World Cup. I'm assuming you're England, not Irish like your son, but or England win the World Cup.
So I have to guarantee one.
Yeah.
I'll have the World Cup because Liverpool will still win the league.
Wow. I'm a Welsh guy, so for me, it's always Wales winning the World Cup because we're all else. But mate,
Good at rugby.
That's true. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm sorry for keeping you on so long.
No, good. Hopefully people have stuck with it for this long.
I hope so too. I'm going to bleep out the experience. I know Ben's a little more PG than myself, so there are going to be a lot of bleeps. I apologise. I do swear quite a lot. I can't help myself. So I'm going to bleep out the experiences because I'm a good boy sometimes. But thank you for being there, Ben. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to ask you to promote yourself again because let's be honest, they don't know you. I don't know why they're here.
At this point, you've committed to not knowing me. Like, if you've got to this point, I've told you quite a lot about me in the last sort of hour and a bit.
If they don't know you now, they never will.
That's okay. They've made their choice. That's fine. I don't mind.
You never know. All right, well, thank you very much for coming on, dude. It's been much appreciated.
No, pleasure.
You've listened to me, Ben DPB, in association with Passion for FM. And again, for all your FM needs, whether it be trading guys, tactic guys, I've also got a lot of things up there regarding the database, fixing the zebras, all that sort of stuff.
Don't change the zebra.
You like
Keep
the zebra?
Yeah. Keep the zebra.
Quick one before you go. Another question for you. I'm going to ask you anyway.
They thought we were gone.
What's your thoughts on logos and badges and kits and stuff? Do you like them, or could you not care either way?
I like it aesthetically, but I don't really care. I've said before, if the game didn't have it, I'd still play it.
I'm the same. Yeah. I mean, I've only found out about it in the last sort of several years, but before that, I played it anyway. But
I will say, if player names changed to fake names, I wouldn't play it then, probably.
So you wouldn't fancy the Provo version then?
No,
back in the day, the Provo names. Did you play Provo back in the day? Or has it always been FIFA?
Yeah, like Liverpool Red or whatever it was.
Merseyside Red, Merseyside Blue, they were called for Liverpool. So provided FM don't go down the base, we'll just take it Everton or not Everton, Juventus. Is it Juventus or is there anyone else? I think not Germany. It used to be Germany. They got the license.
It used to be Germany, yeah. Well, they've got Zebra, but they've also got Sarri has got obviously a different name as well. He's like Giuseppe Piemonte or something.
I didn't know that. Is it Real Sociedad called a different name on the game? I've got the database thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a lot of the Spanish teams have got like variations of their actual name.
Anyway, I was supposed to be going. Fucking hell. But anyway, you must be Ben DPP. It's been emotional. See you later, boys and girls.
Take care.
With love from me.
With love, with care.